Hello friends, welcome back and now today we are going to discuss about the limitations of the CSS usage. So the some noted limitations of the current capabilities of the CSS includes that they cannot explicitly declare new scope independently of position, the procedure class dynamic behavior not controllable, so cannot name roles and cannot exclude the styles from a role into another role, and cannot target specific text without altering markup, and we will discuss also about its advantages later on. So firstly is cannot acceptably declare new scope independently of position. So scoping rules for properties such as z-index look for the closest parent elements with a position absolute or in position relative attribute. This odd coupling has undesired effects. For example, it is impossible to avoid declaring a new scope when one is forced to adjust an element's position, preventing one from using the desired scope of parent's elements. So second is procedure class dynamic behavior not controllable. So CSS implements procedure class that allows a degree of user feedback by the conditional application of alternate styles. Once a style procedure class however is a dynamic and has potential for the misuse. So the implementation user, but CSS has no ability for a client to disable it. So no disable like a property or limit its effects, no change like values for each property. So cannot name roles. There is no way to name a CSS role which would allow client side scripts to refer to a rule even if the selector changes. So cannot exclude styles from a rule into another rule. So CSS styles often must be duplicated in several roles to achieve the desired effect, so the causing additional maintenance and requiring more throughout testing. Some new CSS features were proposed to solve this but were abandoned afterwards. So instead, authors may gain this ability by using most sophisticated style sheet languages which compile to the CSS, such as SAS, such as less, and such as stylus. So cannot target specific text without altering markup. So besides the first letter procedure element, one cannot target specific ranges of the text without needing to utilize placeholder elements. So now we'll discuss about its advantages. So the saturation of content from presentation. So CSS also provides a large community for its specifications, such as the publication of the context in multiple presentation formats based on the nomical parameters. Nomical parameters include the explicit user preferences, different web browsers, the type of the devices being used to view the content, desktop computer, a mobile device, or geographic location of the user, and many other variables. So we will discuss now about the site-wide consistency. Though when CSS is used efficiently in terms of the inheritance and cascading, a global style sheet can be used to affect and style elements site-wide. If the situation arises that the styling of the elements should be changed or adjusted, then the changes can be made by editing rules in the global style sheet. So before CSS, this sort of the maintenance was more difficult, expensive, and time consuming. So now we will discuss about the bandwidth. So a style sheet internal or external specifies the style once for a range of the HTML elements specified by the class type or relationship to others. So this is much more efficient than repeating style information in line for each occurrence of the element. So an external style sheet is usually stored in the browser cache and can therefore be used on the multiple pages without being reloaded. So further reducing data transfer over network. We will discuss now about the page reformatting. So with a simple change of one line, a different style sheet can be used for the same page. This has advantages for the accessibility as well as providing the ability to tailor a page or site to different target devices. Furthermore, devices are not able to understand the styling still display the context. So display the content is very vulnerable and valuable for the developer. So now we'll discuss about accessibility. So without CSS, web designers must typically lay out their pages with techniques such as HTML tables that hide accessibility for the vision impaired users. See tabless web design accessibility. So now we discuss about standardizations. So CSS standardization exclude the frameworks. So the CSS frameworks are prepared libraries that are meant to allow for easier, more standards complaint styling of the web pages using the cascading style sheet languages. So the CSS framework include the blueprint, bootstrap, foundation, and materialize programming and scripting language libraries. CSS framework work are usually encrypted as external.css sheets referred in the HTML. So they provide a number of the ready-made options for designing and laying out the web page. So although many of these frameworks have been published, some authors use them mostly for the rapid prototyping or for learning from the prefer to the handcraft CSS that is appropriate to each published site without the design. So maintenance and download overhead of having many unused features in the site styling. So we'll discuss about the blueprint. So that this paragraph is an excerpt from the blueprint. Blueprint is a CSS framework designed to reduce development time and ensure cross-browser compatibility when working from cascading style sheet CSS. It also serves as a foundation for many tools that is designed to make CSS development easier and more accessible to the beginner. So we will discuss about Bootstrap. So Bootstrap, the paragraph is an excerpt from the extract from the Bootstrap front end framework. So Bootstrap is a free and open source CSS framework designed at responsive, so mobile first front end web development. It contains HTML, CSS, and officially JavaScript based design templates for typography, for forms and buttons and navigation and other interface comments. So now we discuss about which is the foundation. So the paragraph is an excerpt from foundation framework. The foundation is a free responsive font and framework providing a responsive grid and HTML and CSS UI components, templates and code snippets, so including typography, forms, buttons, navigations and other inferences elements, as well as optional functionality provided by the JavaScript extensions. Founded is an open source project and was formally maintained by Zorb since 2019. Foundation has been maintained by the voluntary redesign methodologies. So as the size of the CSS resources used in the project increase, our development team often needs to decide on a common design methodology to keep them organized. So the goals are ease of development, ease of collaboration during the development, and performance of the developed style sheet in the browser. So the popular methodologies include OOS, CSS, object-oriented CSS, ASCSS, atomic CSS, CSS, organic cascade style sheet, CMA CSS, scalable and modular architecture for CSS, and beam block element modifier. So this has a great contribution in the development of the websites because these are the mainly fundamentals of the development of the designing of the website. So now we'll discuss about the SAS, about the style sheet language. So SAS is systematically awesome is a pre-processed scripting language that is integrated are compiled into the cascading style sheet CSS. So the Sanskrit is a scripting language itself. So SAS consists of two syntaxes. So the original syntax called the indented syntax uses a syntax familiar to the HAM. So it uses indentation to separate code blocks and new line characters to separate rules. So the newer syntax SCSS uses a block formatting like that of the CSS. It uses braces to denote code blocks and semicolons to separate rows within a block. So the indented syntax and SCSS files are traditionally given the extension .sas and .sas respectively. So the CSS3 consists of a series of the selectors and procedure selectors that group rules that apply to them. So SAS is a larger context of both syntaxes. So the extends CSS by providing several mechanisms available in the more traditional programming languages, particularly object-oriented programming languages, but they are not available to the CSS3 itself. When SAS script is interrupted, it creates blocks of the CSS rules for various selectors as defined by the SAS file. So the SAS interpreter translates selectors as defined as a SAS file. The SAS interpreter translates a SAS script into the CSS. Alternately, CSS can monitor the .sas or .sas .scss .s CSS file and translates it and output .css file whatever whenever